everyone, welcome to the 5th day of vegan November. Yesterday for breakfast I made some maple and pecan porridge. I first added half a cup of oats and then 1 cup of coconut milk to a small pan on a low heat. And I just gradually stirred that until it thickened up, usually for around 10 minutes or so. And then once it was almost cooked, I then added in 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, stirred it for a few more minutes before serving it up in a bowl. I topped that with a small handful of crushed and whole pecans and another tablespoon of maple syrup drizzled on top. This is such a great energy boosting, filling, warming breakfast. I like to do my oatmeal with different flavours and in different ways just to switch it up every time, but I love the combination of the sweet maple syrup with the crunchy buttery richness from the pecan nuts. But you could also make this with roasted almonds or hazelnuts too if you don't have any pecans. For a mid-morning snack I made this Mediterranean style dip. For this I just blended up 1 roasted sweet red pepper from a jar, 4 sun-dried tomatoes, a handful of pitted green olives, a handful of fresh basil and 1 tablespoon of nutritional yeast in my food processor until it was nice and smooth, and then I transferred it over to a bowl, took 1 teaspoon of balsamic vinegar and drizzled that on top. The nutritional yeast in this is completely optional. I like to add it into most things and I just find it gives a little bit more flavour. And you could use this for so many things, minus the balsamic vinegar. You could even use this as a really easy pasta sauce, but I love to dip crackers into it or even spread it onto them with other added toppings. And I just had this with some of the kale crackers that I had the other day, which makes a really nice combination. For lunch I made some guacamole stuffed garlic Hasselback potatoes. I took 2 medium-sized potatoes because 1 honestly wouldn't be enough for me, and I just sliced them about 3/4 of the way down from one end to the other. I then placed those on a foil-lined baking shelf and I brushed over a little olive oil, which just helps them to go really crispy and golden. I then minced over 3 cloves of garlic and almost pushed them between the slots in the potatoes, and then I placed those in my preheated oven on 180 degrees Celsius for around 35 to 40 minutes to bake until they're nice and brown. In that time I made up a really quick guacamole using 1 mashed avocado, 1 chopped tomato, half a finely chopped red chilli, some chopped coriander, and then I mixed that all together with some fresh lemon juice and seasoned it with some salt and black pepper. Once the potatoes were done, I removed them from the oven, placed them both in a dish, and then I just take the guacamole and almost stuff it between the random sections of the sliced potatoes. And this is just another great way or a different take on doing a baked potato, and you can stuff it with whatever you like. Chili, cheese sauce, baked beans all work really well too. I love adding garlic to it with whichever topping I choose to go for, as it adds so much more flavour when it's roasted. It's a fairly quick and really simple recipe, and again this could be a great cheaper dinner option as well. For something in the afternoon I just had a milky chai tea. For this I just heat up 1 cup of almond milk in a saucepan on a low heat, and I just stir that continuously until it gradually warms up, but making sure it doesn't catch on the bottom of the pan. I then took one of these pucker chai tea bags and added that to a cup, and then once the milk had warmed I then poured that in as well. I love making these milky tea kind of drinks. I didn't really want too much after such a big lunch, but I find this can sometimes just be enough to keep me going until dinner. I find them really soothing and calming to have before I go to bed as well, and I also love Pucker's vanilla chai. That's so delicious too, and is also really nice as a milky tea as well. Chai tea is a blend of black tea with spices. This one uses cinnamon, cardamom and ginger, and it's the most amazing warm wintry drink. For dinner I made a creamy coconut, chickpea and aubergine curry. I first added 1 teaspoon of mustard seeds to a large pan with 2 tablespoons of olive oil on a medium heat, and I just let those cook until they begin popping. I then added in 1 teaspoon of ground cumin, 1 teaspoon of ground coriander and 1 tablespoon of garam masala. You could also add in a teaspoon of turmeric here. I let those cook until they became became fragrant, and in that time I diced up 1 white onion. I then added that to the pan, let that cook until soft, and then I minced in 3 cloves of garlic, added in 1 tablespoon of grated ginger and 1 tablespoon of tomato paste. Whilst that was cooking, I chopped up 2 small aubergines and 2 tomatoes. I then added the aubergines to the pan, let those fry off for a few minutes before adding in a 400-gram can of chickpeas, and then the tomatoes, although you could use a tin of tomatoes if you wanted to. I then added in 2 cups of frozen spinach. This was like a mix of spinach, red pepper and carrot, as I couldn't find spinach on its own, but you could also use fresh spinach. I then poured in 2 cans of coconut milk and seasoned it with salt and black pepper. I gave that a really good stir, and then I left it to simmer on a low heat whilst I just cooked up some brown rice. Once the rice was cooked, I served that up between 2 bowls with the curry on top. I also tend to scoop out some extra sauce and just pour that over the top too, and then I also top that with some fresh coriander. This makes 4 portions, so you can freeze the rest of the curry and then use it again for another meal. You could also serve this with quinoa instead of the brown rice. It's so flavourful from all of the spices, but really sweet and creamy from the coconut milk, and I really don't think you can go wrong with coconut milk curries. They're so easy to throw together. You could also use lentils in this and change up the veg. You could add carrots, broccoli, beans, cauliflower. There's so many ways that it can be recreated. For dessert, I had these Raw Health chocolate truffles. I like to keep anything chocolatey in the fridge for a while before eating it, and these are definitely amazing once they've been chilled. They're basically raw organic truffle balls made with dates and raw chocolate, and they almost have this truffle-like centre. They're amazing, but I'm not gonna lie, they're incredibly rich. I was looking forward to scoffing the lot, but one of these was enough, which is a good thing because you only get 3 in a box, so at least I can last these out for a few days. And that's it for the 5th Vegan November. I really hope you enjoyed this video. As always, all of the recipes will be in the description box below for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again on Friday for the next one. Bye!